Howdy, folks. My name is Jeremiah Henry, and I'm a lecturer with the English department at CSU Fresno and with College of the Sequoias in Visalia. This video is a summary of some of my major takeaways from Fresno State's Summer 2021 HyFlex Institute. If you have any questions or concerns about anything that I cover in the next few minutes, you can contact me in a variety of ways, such as through my Fresno State email, my personal website, or Twitter. So getting right into things, hybrid flexible learning, or HyFlex, is our attempt to accommodate learners in a single course with multiple modalities. To this end, we work to answer questions like, how do we design a course where teachers and learners can be successful when learners are coming into the course from different spaces and perhaps even different times? Well, backwards course design is one element to this, and I'll talk about that shortly. But first, I want to mention the glue that holds these different spaces and times together: Canvas. Canvas serves as our center of gravity. This is especially important in a context where we distribute materials to students and students are accessing course materials in different spaces and times. Since all students, regardless of space and time, have access to Canvas, it makes sense to use Canvas for structuring and distributing course materials, providing feedback, assessment ratings, even access to third-party apps like Perusall, which I'll talk about more shortly. Using Canvas for all of this provides an equivalent experience of access and engagement across the course's learning spaces, an important element to successful HyFlex design. Now, that being said, on to using backward course design for HyFlex courses with my English 10 course as an example. So the HyFlex Institute helped me consider designing with flexibility in mind with these 4 areas: outcomes, assessments, engagement, and content. Thinking about outcomes first, we want to make sure that our outcomes consider the space and time of our learners. So we want to avoid learning outcomes that require a specific space and time for the learner to demonstrate their competence. I'm glad that Fresno State's first-year writing program outcomes are already flexible, and our final portfolio project does not require students to be in a specific space at a specific time to submit their work. But for the sake of example, suppose our learning outcome of summary conversation is worded such that in a timed essay exam, students will demonstrate summarizing purposefully, etc. The trouble is that a timed essay exam limits the outcome to a particular kind of assessment that might force students to be in a specific space and time, which goes against the kind of flexibility that we're trying to achieve. Now, speaking of assessments, we want to think about ways to design activities for assessments that enable students to work on them and submit them with some flexibility in mind. In my view, it's best to avoid having high-stakes activities or assignments due during class, because that puts asynchronous or absent learners at a disadvantage. Instead, establish a pattern of having learners submit their work at the midweek or end of the week by the end of the day kind of thing. Moreover, continue using Canvas as that center of gravity so all students, regardless of space and time, can review their work and their feedback in the same way. Another advantage of using Canvas as a center of gravity is that all students can access each other's work in the case of discussion activities or via Google Drive or a variety of other means. So peer feedback across the modal divide is possible. In-person learners can give feedback to remote learners and vice versa. Now, building on that idea, this gets to the point of having learners engage with each other. Now, coming from an English perspective, an app like Perusall is a no-brainer. Imagine a space where you can curate materials of all kinds: text, video, audio, images, web pages, source code. Then you can create reading and annotation assignments on any combination of those materials that syncs to Canvas. That in and of itself is cool, but taken a step further, Perusall can make this a collaborative endeavor where select groups of learners can read and respond to each other's annotations. Ultimately, Perusall is a time and space agnostic app that enables collaborative annotation of multiple kinds of media, and it'll sync to Canvas. Amazing. Finally, speaking of multiple kinds of media, now we've gone from bigger picture design considerations of outcomes and assessments to smaller picture items like engagement strategies. We also want to consider smaller content objects like textbook chapters, articles, etc. Core content stuff. HyFlex builds on a variety of principles from universal design for learning. I already mentioned multiple means of representation when it came to flexible assessment. Now, for flexible content, I'm thinking about multiple means of access. In the case of an assigned reading, multiple means of access might be the textbook itself, either a printed copy or a digital copy. In the case of a digital text, there might also be a built-in e-reader. If not, consider recording yourself reading the text, with or without commentary, and provide access to that recording, video or audio as appropriate, via streaming or direct download. Now, I know the idea of recording yourself reading a text sounds overwhelming, but here are some of the benefits. You only have to do it once, and then you have it forever to reuse. With or without commentary, your vocal inflections and cadence alone can help clarify difficult content. Providing written text and verbal text makes the text more accessible. So, these were a few of my major takeaways from the Summer 2021 HyFlex Institute at Fresno State. If you have any questions or concerns, or just want to talk more about flexible course design, feel free to get in touch. Until then, thanks for watching.